What's going on, guys? So today we're going to talk about air bubbles and why they might occur. So there are several reasons why air bubbles might occur under your vinyl wrap. We'll go through the basics. So bridging a gap. So if we bridge a gap, this would be a gap in this area here because this is a recess. So if we put the vinyl over top of this, that will be a gap, and then we'll push the vinyl into that recess. What happens is that if there's too much tension in this recess, that will pop up, okay? That will happen with any film, doesn't matter what film it is. It can happen with Avery, 3M, APA, Vivid, Oracal, doesn't matter. So if that recess is too deep, you're gonna have an issue with that and it might pop up. Another issue is that you didn't possibly clean the surface properly, or there's some kind of a chemical agent under the wrap which is reacting, all right? So that can happen, and when sun hits it, all of a sudden the gases start to come out or start to expand, and then you start to get bubbles under your wrap. Another thing, so that's two. The third one being that you didn't squeegee with enough pressure. If you don't squeegee with enough pressure, you're not actually pushing all of the air out of the air channels. If you don't push the air out of the air channels, that means you're just leaving air inside the wrap. So what can happen, and this is super common, probably the most common thing, is that people aren't applying enough pressure, and when the sun hits it, all of a sudden what's in air? Moisture is always in air. So when the heat hits it, it expands, and you might only see little bubbles because of that. So that is probably the most common issue that I've ever encountered when it comes to people installing their own wraps or even other shops, is that they don't apply enough pressure because they're afraid that they're going to damage the film. There are ways to prevent scratching the film, obviously using a fresh buffer and your wrap glove and a clean surface, like exterior wise clean surface, so no dust on your wrap. If there's no dust on your wrap, it shouldn't scratch. What normally scratches wraps is dust on the surface of the wrap. Hence why you see Chrome has that protective cap on it. So we remove that protective cap just before we apply the film, because if there's any dust on that protective cap, it comes right off with it, and so that minimizes scratching greatly. Another possibility, so this is the fourth possibility, is that, sorry, this thing's a little bit irritating, is that the panels, especially plastic panels, so if you're wrapping plastic parts of a car, it might be a spoiler, it might be, usually spoilers, it might be the interior, these panels can gas out as well. So they are oil-based products. Plastic is an oil-based product, and what happens is that has chemicals in it. So when the sun hits it, these chemicals can seep through that plastic more or less. I've seen it happen on spoilers, and that'll come right through the paint. It doesn't even matter. I wrapped a Volkswagen GTI about 2 years ago in Chrome, and the spoiler was painted silver. It's completely painted. It comes like that, original from the factory. And this thing just kept gassing out, and we keep getting bubbles in it. I'm like, why? Like, I wrapped it like 3 times, and I'm like wondering what's going on. That is what happened. So sometimes there isn't really a way to fix something like that. What you can do is wrap it twice. So put a layer of black down, and then put another layer, your main color layer, right on top of that. That might help. It might create a little bit of thickness, but again, we don't know for sure. I also did Mitsubishi Eclipse and the newest generation one. I know they're discontinued now, but the newest generation one, and that has these plastic pillars that run right here. These are metal in this car, but right down here, and they're separate. They're small, just like that, and they kept bubbling up, and I'm like, with Satin Black, with 3M, with Avery, with Vivid, didn't matter what I used. And I'm like wondering what is happening. The panel was gassing out. Again, nothing you can really do about that. It does kind of suck. So, these things can happen when it comes to wrapping a vehicle. So there's things to keep in mind. Don't stress yourself out about it. What I want to teach you today is how you avoid getting air bubbles in your wrap for at least one of the steps. Well, all 3 except for the last one, because the first 2, if you clean your surface properly, you're going to be fine. And if you're not bridging your gaps too much, you're going to be fine. So just make sure you're always stripping the surface of all contaminants, wax, grease, anything like that, especially like road grime. You might think that you just sprayed your car off and wiped it down, that's enough. It's not enough. It might look clean, but it's not clean, because stuff will stick to your paint, and it's not going to come off unless you use a solvent like isopropyl alcohol to get rid of those contaminants on the paint. Strips down wax. You can try washing your car with dish soap. That's pretty good. It's pretty abrasive in its properties to strip a lot of things off a car. And I've always been told that using dish soap is great for stripping wax off a vehicle. But again, it's probably not going to be enough to get all the road grease off of your vehicle. So prep your surface properly, guys. Don't miss an inch. That is, for me, what takes the most time is the prep of the vehicle. The wrapping part, you see me do it, you see how long it takes, and once you get that part down, that's the easy part. But prepping a vehicle and making sure that it's ready for wrap is the most important thing that you can do. All right, so I've got two brands of film here. I've got Avery, so you can see it says Avery on the back, and I have Vivid. So what I'm going to do is just show you two examples of why you might get air bubbles underneath your wrap. So I'll bring the camera in a little bit, and I'll angle this down. All right, don't need to see my face anymore. We're going to get on to the actual wrapping. So let's remove the backing paper. Again, Avery, guys, says it right there. And let's just tack it down there and let it sit there. All right, so now we can see that the vinyl already just wants to lay itself into this recess. So why wouldn't we just lift it up from the edges and just let it go into that recess, all right? Then we don't have anything to worry about by doing this. Super important. Like, this is such a basic thing. It doesn't matter where you start the wrap on the car. You can, once you get to the edge and you have these indentations, you can easily lift the wrap up from this edge and start squeegeeing the film into this recess. Another thing is what happens here is that if you glass out the film entirely across the panel, when you start squeegeeing and this starts to settle right here on the edge, see that line now? What's going to happen? Let's just lock it in. I'll lock it in on all edges. So pretend we have the whole hood glassed, right? Let's pretend we have the whole hood glassed right now, and this is your hood right here in this section here, and this is each edge. This is let's say this is the window, this is the front bumper, this is the right fender, passenger side fender, this is the driver's side fender, right? So if everything's locked in, what's going to happen here is that, look at the air, it's building up, all right? And it's not going anywhere. So what you try to do is you try to push it down, and yeah, you deal with all that fun stuff. So yes, glassing is nice to be able to do glassing, but at the same time, if you let that vinyl sit there, and even though Avery's pressure sensitive, if you let it sit there for long enough on these hard edges, it will lock in. It will tighten up. It will seal that edge, whether you touch it or not. Plus, you could be leaning on it and stuff, and you're sealing it up. You never know. So, and that's one of the most common things that I see nowadays, is that you guys are just relying completely on air release. Look at it, it won't go anywhere. I can go really slow, sure, and it'll start to go away. I'm starting to get wrinkles and stuff. That's not, like, getting the wrinkles is one thing, but now I have to heat it. If you just hold your vinyl up when you get to the edge and you squeegee it out properly, like this, instead of relying completely on air release, look how much faster it is, first of all. Second of all, we're not trapping any air in here anymore. Make sure you're applying a generous amount of pressure. If you're not applying a generous amount of pressure, all those little air channels are going to hold air in them. It might only be a little bit, but as soon as heat hits it, they're going to expand. So super common, like I said, once you start getting to the edges and start squeegeeing, is that it might not happen. That's more of an extreme situation where I locked it in fully around the edges. But even if it's locked in partially all the way around, what's going to happen is you're going to start getting little small ones, and you're not going to be pushing hard enough with your squeegee, and you're going to start to have air under your wrap, and you're not even going to know it because it's like microscopic. You can't see it with your eye until the sun, you take it out the car out in the sun and it starts to hit it. So that will happen with whatever film, and you can see I demonstrated perfectly with Avery that these edges can lock in and not release air anymore. All right, let's get rid of the Avery. Let's do it with Vivid. Let's see if it does the same thing. Should do the same thing. I'm not trying to be biased here. I just want to show you guys two different materials, and that way we're not, you know, blaming everything on Avery or blaming everything on Vivid, because everyone seems to get a little upset with these demonstrations. I'm trying to make it as fair as possible, guys. I'm not trying to make it unfair. Like I said, I will do a video on a better video comparison for the wheels. I know I've kind of upset a lot of people about that. where I mask off each of the windows on the wheels, and then I dip the wheel and wrap the wheel, and we'll see which one's faster. All right, so since everyone wanted to see a more accurate comparison. So anyways, let's do this now. So same film, let's get this out of the way, so because you guys might think that it's overlapped and it's not fair. All right, same deal, guys. It's you know, it's not sticking too much, feels great. Let's pretend that we've wrapped already this section of the hood. We're gonna get to the edge and we're gonna do the same thing, all right? We're gonna lay it into this recess. Why would we not do that? So the surface of the vehicle is not that clean. I just want to talk to you guys about how to make sure it is clean. Do as I say, not as I do. So I didn't actually prep this surface with isopropyl alcohol. So again, when it comes to squeegeeing, what we want to do is keep the edge lifted. If you don't keep the edge lifted, it's going to slow you down and you're going to start locking air in there. Make sure you apply the right amount of pressure. Now let's do it as we did with Avery. So it's just going to lay it into this recess and let's lock it in on all edges. So let's pretend the film has been sitting here for X amount of time and it's sitting on the hood, and we're going to try and squeegee it. Again, it's going to start to build up. Look at it. I got little bubbles all the way over here. I can actually see them. So I got to go down. I got to push on them. I got some dirt on there still, but whatever. That's not a part of this problem right now. What I'm trying to do is show you about air release and why you might get bubbles underneath the wrap. If your panel gas is out, there's nothing you can do about it. As you can see, these are much more difficult to get out. How do I get them out really easily right now? Oh, wow. Look at that. I can just go like that. And if you squeegee, you don't even really have to hold it up. But if you squeegee it and you do it, like if you lift it and then squeegee it fast enough, you'll have time before it actually settles around the edge. So you don't even have to keep it elevated the entire time. It's just about how quickly you tackle this section. I always kind of just hold it up anyways, just a little bit. And it doesn't matter what film I use, guys. Avery, 3M, Vivid, Hexus, Oracal, whatever. But I always try and hold it up a little bit. That way I can move a little bit faster and I'm not getting air trapped in the wrap. Cool? So that is all I wanted to show you as far as why you might get bubbles in your wrap and what I wanted to explain to you about that. Let me angle the camera. So these 3 out of 4 problems are normally because it's your own fault. Not because of the film, not because of the car, not because of anything else. It's normally your fault. So that's 75% chance that it's your fault. There's a 25% chance that it's not your fault. But like I said, I've wrapped probably like 400 or 500 cars and I've seen a panel gas out 3 times and that's it. And 2 of them were the same cars because it makes sense. It happened on one car, it should happen on the other car as well. So, and the other car was a Volkswagen GTI rear spoiler, which just kind of blends into the roof. It's an OEM one. Anyways, just want to teach you guys a little bit of information and how to troubleshoot stuff like that and how to make sure you're doing a thorough installation. Don't blame the material when you're getting bubbles in your wrap. It's not fair. It's not the material's fault. It's usually your fault. And if it's not your fault, then it's the panel itself. It's nothing to do with the material. I've never seen a material just bubble. A material doesn't just bubble on its own. There has to be a cause. There has to be a reason. If I just put the material on the paper, it's not just bubbling on the paper. So there's a reason. There's something underneath that wrap that's causing it to bubble, either air, chemicals, or the plastics gassing out. It's going to be one of those things, or you overstretched it and it's lifting out of the recess. Any one of those things will cause bubbles under your wrap, and those are the only 4 things that will do that. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, hit the like button. If you guys want to see more, you want to know more information, more detailed things like this, hit the subscribe button. I'll have more stuff coming up. If you guys have any other ideas, also shoot them down in the comments. I try to tackle them, and I do go through all the comments, and I try to tackle all those ideas when I can. Obviously, best suited to be like, if I actually have a truck here and you want me to do something on a truck, then I need a truck here. So if I can't just magically make a truck appear. But same thing with the motorcycle gas tank. You guys wanted to see that for a long time. I did it when I got one in because I know you wanted to see it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.